All right, today we are digging into a brand new law that has, let's just say, stirred up a massive controversy. We're talking about a special, really powerful legal privilege. But, and this is the key, it's only for a tiny, very specific group of people.
And it all kicks off with this number, $500,000. And get this, that's not the maximum, that's the minimum payout guaranteed by this new privilege, a payday literally written into the law. So that's really the big question we're going to tackle here. Who exactly is getting this unprecedented legal power? And maybe more importantly, who's the one paying the price?
All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. This whole thing wasn't some standalone bill that was debated out in the open for everyone to see. No, it was a provision that was quietly, let's say, tucked into a much bigger critical spending bill. And that detail is absolutely key to understanding how this even happened. So what are we talking about here exactly? Well, it's a new provision that creates a retroactive right to sue the federal government. But, and here's the real kicker, this right applies exclusively, and I mean exclusively, to United States senators. So let's break down the details. This thing gives senators the right to sue if their data gets seized without what's called proper notification. And if that happens, boom, a minimum award of that $500,000 figure we mentioned. Oh, and it's also retroactive, specifically targeting phone record seizures that happened during the January 6th investigation. And look, this is not just some theoretical thing on paper. Not at all. Senators like Lindsey Graham and Tommy Tuberville have already made it pretty clear they plan to use this new power. Senator Graham didn't mince words. He said his whole goal is to make this process so painful no one ever does this again. Now, as you can probably imagine, this has triggered a huge ethical backlash. I mean, huge. And the main accusation getting thrown around is that this is a textbook, crystal clear case of legislative self-dealing. And critics are really not holding back. They're calling it a self-indulgent legal provision, even a corrupt cash bonus that's specifically designed for senators to line their own pockets with our taxpayer money. So you might be asking, what exactly is legislative self-dealing? Well, it's pretty simple, really. It's when lawmakers use their official power to pass laws that give them a direct, personal financial benefit. And according to critics, this provision isn't just an example, it's a perfect, almost unbelievably blatant one. And, this isn't just outside criticism. This is coming from inside Congress. Senator Jamie Raskin, for example, called it one of the most blatantly corrupt provisions for political self-dealing he has ever seen. That just shows you how intense the opposition is, even from their own colleagues. So that's the million-dollar question, right? How did something this controversial actually become law? Well, it goes back to what we said earlier. It was slipped into a giant, must-pass spending bill. That means it totally bypassed all the normal stuff, the committee hearings, the public debates, all of it. The threat of a government shutdown was basically used as leverage to get it through. And this criticism is coming from both sides of the aisle. You've got House Speaker Mike Johnson calling it way out of line. The fundamental argument here is that this law creates a special, protected class of people, a kind of legislative elitism, where some people have way more rights than you or me. Okay, so moving past the ethics for a second, there are some really deep legal dangers here too. And probably the biggest worry is the chilling effect this law could have on our entire justice system. A lot of people are looking at this and seeing it as straight-up political revenge against Special Counsel Jack Smith and his investigation. By making the law retroactive, Congress is essentially reaching back in time to punish the executive branch for things they've already done. And that creates a serious chilling effect. Why would a federal agent risk investigating a powerful politician in the future if they know this could happen? Now, to really get why this is such a big deal, we need to quickly talk about something called qualified immunity. In a nutshell, this is a legal doctrine that usually shields government officials, think FBI agents, from getting sued personally for just doing their jobs. And this is where the new law gets its real teeth. For any lawsuit a senator brings under this provision, federal employees are explicitly forbidden from using qualified immunity as a defense. It's just gone. This leaves them personally and financially on the hook in a way that is, frankly, almost unheard of. So all of this, it leads us to a really fundamental constitutional question. Is this law creating two tiers of rights in America? Is it basically spitting in the face of the principle of equal protection under the law? Let's just ask the question as bluntly as possible. Do United States senators now have more legal rights than you do? Because when you actually compare the paths to justice, well, the answer is pretty startling.
Okay, just look at this side by side. If you, a private citizen, want to sue a federal agent, you're facing this massive uphill battle. You have to prove you were actually injured, and you have to somehow defeat that qualified immunity defense we just talked about. But a senator, under this new law, all they have to do is show there was a procedural error. That's it, to get a guaranteed $500,000. And the agent they're suing, no qualified immunity defense allowed. It's a totally different and obviously superior legal playing field.
So the next obvious question is, who pays for all this? Where does this guaranteed settlement money come from? Well, the law waives what's called sovereign immunity, which is just a fancy legal way of saying the money comes straight from the U.S. Treasury. In other words, it comes from taxpayer funds, from us. And that really brings us to our final thought here. What does all of this mean for the very idea of equal justice in this country? Some opponents have started calling this a Fourth Amendment plus. Think about that. It's not just the standard protection we all have against unreasonable searches. It's an upgraded, premium version that comes with a giant financial payday, and it's reserved only for a select few powerful people. So we're left with this final, really critical question. If the people we elect to make our laws can turn around and write a special set of rules just for themselves, creating a superior class of rights paid for by the rest of us, then what does that foundational American promise of equal justice under law even mean anymore?